FPL Game Week 21 team selection. There's only been 8 days between Game Week 20 and 21. It's felt like a lifetime with Carabao Cup fixtures as well as FA Cup results. So in today's video, we'll be going through a review of how Game Week 20 went, at my transfer plans going forward, and also the captaincy and team selection for Game Week 21. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert where arrows go green, and unfortunately, even though it was a while ago, they didn't go green. Not much really went wrong. I guess I could have captained Palmer over Salah for about 3 extra points, but the main reason why we didn't get a green was because we didn't own Mbeumo for his 19-point haul. As I mentioned, I did take a -4, so scored 56 but 52 including the -4. Probably should have started James Hill over Lewis Hall, but that wouldn't have changed. That wouldn't have saved me for a green arrow. As we see, I was 17 points behind the safety score, so it really was just not owning Mbeumo pretty much. So looking okay going forward, but we'll go into a bit of news as well. But I am planning to make some changes, even though nothing's been confirmed yet. So first up was on injury news before we get into the team selection and also some transfer plans as well. Of course, Alexander Isak starred in Newcastle's semi-final cup win at Arsenal. He scored and got an FPL assist technically because he forced a save from Raya where Gordon was just able to slot it in. But he was rested against Bromley, which was a 4th tier side in the FA Cup. So maybe and hopefully it was just some rest, but it's something we're going to have to wait and see. Of course, Eddie Howe is notorious for not being completely truthful in his press conferences, so we're going to have to see how that one develops. And of course, Joao Pedro, Fabian Hersler mentioned that he twisted his ankle in training and that they're going to do an MRI scan on him. Whether that's true or not, we also do not know. But it is worth mentioning that Joao Pedro tweeted that the scan is okay, along with other stuff to go with Brighton's results. So let's see how that develops. But of course, deadline is tomorrow on Tuesday, and Brighton don't play until Thursday, so we probably won't know before the deadline. But just something to be aware of. So into the transfer plans, and there's actually someone that did score in Game Week 20, and it's Phil Foden. Of course, with the Saka injury, it opened up a lot of routes to a lot of different replacements. Of course, I went for Foden because I was targeting the fixtures. Of course, City were playing Everton, Leicester, and West Ham, as well as Ipswich in the next 5, and of course Brentford away, which is now technically a red fixture, but they do concede chances. But I'm just not too impressed by the positions he's taking up. Of course, he did assist against Leicester, but it was a shot from range that Savinho tucked away. And then of course the goal against West Ham, it was a bit of a mix-up. Of course, City were already leading 3-0, and De Bruyne just teed up Foden for a simple finish. But he's not really getting into many scoring positions from what I can see when I watch the City. Whereas Anthony Gordon is not only in a rich vein of scoring form, but he's getting into plenty of scoring positions. And of course, I just think he has the much better fixtures as well. And we want to start rolling our transfers. And Foden was going to get sold anyway at some point, given their fixtures coming up as well. So I think with Wolves at home, Bournemouth at home as well, technically, with a couple of injuries racking up for them, and then Southampton away, who were comfortably the worst Premier League side ever, I think I want to make this move. It hasn't been made yet, but this is what I'm thinking at the moment. Into the team selection, and starting in goal, Alisson Becker travels to Nottingham Forest, a side that have won their last 6 league games. They've also scored at least twice in 5 of their last 6, so probably best to hope for saves in this game. As mentioned, Nottingham Forest are on a winning streak of 6 games, but they've also kept 4 clean sheets in a row as well. So I would personally imagine that Arne Slot would start Trent due to his involvement in Liverpool's attack, and obviously they just look a much better team when he's in it compared to Bradley. And I know there's been a lot of selection fears in addition to the United performance, but I just think Liverpool are a much better team with Trent in it than not. He also did play against Accrington Stanley, but he only got to 60 minutes, and he also scored a very eye-catching goal. So I think he should be fine for minutes here. Arsenal and Gabriel Magalhaes are in dire form at the moment, but the Brazilian did score in the most recent home game against United in the FA Cup, and with another big game coming up against Tottenham in the North London derby, the Gunners may lean on him to once again make the difference with a few misfiring forwards up top. Lewis Hall blanked for the first time in 4 game weeks in Game Week 20, as Newcastle battled to a 2-1 victory, conceding in the first 5 minutes really. But he can get back to track, back to business against Wolves. Of course, they're still conceding many chances, and his assist numbers or his creativity numbers are very good as well. For the first time in a while, I can say that my captaincy is not going to be on Salah. Despite Liverpool managing to score at least twice in their last 12 league games, Forest already kept Liverpool out at Anfield, and they will now host the Redmen at the City Ground. As mentioned, they've already kept 4 clean sheets in a row, so I do expect this to be a tough game. And not that Salah's out of form, but we all watched the Man United game and he didn't look too involved, and he did get pretty fortunate return. Obviously, as my captain, I take that all the time, but it was a penalty that was pretty lucky as well. Palmer's one of the main captaincy candidates by process of elimination then, as Chelsea have won 5 of their last 6 against Bournemouth, and they ended their 4-match winless run with a big dismantling of Morecambe with a 5-0 win in the FA Cup. Of course, Palmer was rested for this, so it should be fresh, and with Cherries missing Evan Nilsson and also Inez and Unal, it could be back to a Premier League win for Chelsea at home. His match start has been pretty disappointing since bringing him in. I feel like I've actually made the wrong choice not getting Eze, as he was only 0.7 extra, and I think sometimes you just pay extra for quality, and he's just been blanking. He's blanked every game since that game against Arsenal, which is I think 4 game weeks ago. And he also didn't manage to do anything against Stockport County, which is a bit of a concern. But Leicester are pretty porous, so he starts at the moment, but I do have a selection dilemma with Rodgers on the bench as well. Anthony Gordon dispatched a penalty yesterday in Isak's absence, which means Gordon has returned in each of his last 8 appearances in all competitions and 9 of his last 10. So this form is really the reason why I'm considering bringing him in, and I'm pretty sure I will bring him in for Phil Foden. Chris Wood repaid the faith, as of course I brought him in for hit last week due to budget constraints, and he's spearheading a Forest side that have scored at least twice in 5 of their last 6. Liverpool have also looked fairly open defensively. Alisson's only kept 1 clean sheet since his return from injury, and I think Forest are pretty good value for a goal. So he's currently starting, but as I mentioned, I do have Rodgers on the bench, which I don't think is a good idea. So at the moment, it's between benching Wood or Sarr, really. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do at the moment. Nicholas Jackson is on the chopping block with just 1 goal in the last 5 game weeks. But with Wolves coming up in game week 22, I'm going to give him at least 1 more week. So hopefully he scores in this game week. Alexander Isak is currently the vice, but that's due to really the injury concerns I'm going to put in inverted quotes, as I think he is the best captain this week. Of course, Wolves is a great fixture. Newcastle have a great record against Wolves. I think they've won their last 3 in all competitions, and of course Wolves are still a defence that are worth targeting as well. And as mentioned, Newcastle scored at least 2 goals in their last 7 matches in the Premier League, so I think he's definitely going to be the best captain for me. So that's how we're looking for this week. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. Of course, I will be posting my final team 15 minutes before the deadline tomorrow on Tuesday the 14th of January, so I'll see you there. But if not, make sure you have a great week, and I'll see you for a transfer targets video probably later this week. So thanks.